Welcome to another episode of Bucket List Coach Web Show. Hello, Cindy here. Patrick, can you turn that down about 70%? Testing. Sounds good. Okay, Cindy here, your host over at Bucket List Coach Web Show. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And hit that bell icon and subscribe at wherecindynow.com, which is Bucket List Coach Web Show on YouTube. And also, if you would love to receive a national day, it is so important to celebrate every single day. I'm giving away a National Day calendar. Just simply type in calendar. And if you'd like to comment on Facebook today, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. So what is Bucket List Coach Web Show all about? I'm a travel agent and I'm a podcast host. And I started this podcast. I'm actually very inspired by Anthony Bourdain. He was a chef and then later turned into a travel guru. He did an amazing show. And sadly, he passed away a few years ago, but I am carrying on his legacy. And so this show is about marking off your foodie bucket list, your travel bucket list, definitely your aviation bucket list. If everybody follows me, you know I'm a big fan of Top Gun and, of course, surfing. We had a great surf guest earlier today. And so today is National Eat What You Want Day. Make sure you go to nationaldaycalendar.com. And if you are free the last week of August, I'm speaking at celebration.nation.com. I'm going to talk about how I implement National Day Calendar in my everyday living. So today I have my friend Patrick Snow. He is at becomingabestselling-author.com. He's been on Ask Cindy Connector Live before, but today he's on Bucket List Coach Web Show, and we're going to talk about living the life over in Maui. How are you, Patrick?
I'm doing well, Cindy. Thank you for having me on your show again.
Well, let's talk your backstory. Why did you move to Maui?
Well, I was born and raised in Michigan, graduated University of Montana, and was always around the Great Lakes and sandy beaches growing up with my father. And so I've always had a love for the ocean and the water. After college, I moved to Seattle, spent 21 years there raising my family. And every winter, I would take the boys to Maui to get out of the cold, dark, and rain, and we'd come for 2 or 3 weeks every February. So when they graduated from high school and college, then I didn't need to actually stay there because of their school district, and so it was a perfect, opportunity for me to follow my dreams. And 8 years ago, I moved to Maui, Hawaii, and I've never looked back. It's been one of the best decisions of my life.
Wow. So I'm going to tell my audience the story. Not everybody knows this, but before I got into marketing and travel, I was a chef. So I spent 25 years as a chef. I worked white tablecloth. I've worked my own company. I actually had an aphrodisiac for 2 catering company. But at the end of my career, I decided I wanted to mark off the ultimate career bucket list. And that was to be a cook on Norwegian cruise lines. So I spent my very last career bucket list with Norwegian Cruise Lines, and I fell in love with the Aloha Spirit. As a matter of fact, my very favorite city is Lahaina, Maui, and my little surf truck, my little Ford Ranger, I actually call her Lahaina because it's my favorite beach city. I mean, I love Huntington Beach, but Hawaii, it just brings me at this whole new level. And one of the favorite foods that I love actually is ahi tuna. So I'm actually looking for a ahi tuna food truck there in Maui. And there's Mama's Fish House there. There's the Road to Hana. There's so many amazing things. Because at the end of my time on the cruise ship, I actually spent 3 or 4 days in Maui, and I just fell in love with the city. So tell my audience some of the things that made you fall in love with Maui.
Well, I don't want to sound arrogant when I share this, but what attracted me to Maui was Condé Nast magazine for like 20 consecutive years ranked Maui the number 1 island, not in Hawaii, not in the Pacific, not in the northern hemisphere, but the number 1 island in the world for like 20 years in a row. And I think the reasons why is it has some of the best weather in the world, almost no humidity, We get a little bit of humidity in August and September, maybe a couple weeks in October. But for the most part, we have a 10 to 15 mile an hour trade wind all the time off the ocean. And so very little humidity. Temperatures are, 88 in the day, and then it gets down to about 72 at night. And that's in the,
oh my God,
in the winter and the summer. In the summer and the winter, it might be 68 at night and only get to high of 84, 85. So you'd rarely sweat here, and you're always got a breeze and the smell of the flowers and the birds and the mountains.
yeah.
You can actually swim in the ocean. Some places like Seattle, I couldn't swim in the ocean there, obviously. Too cold. But here you've got hundreds and hundreds of hiking trails and these magnificent Haleakala Range mountains and the West Maui Mountains. And then I'm an avid cyclist, so the cycling here is incredible. And then Maui has more swimmable beaches that are pure sugar sand beaches than any of the other islands. And then the nightlife and the resort areas and the restaurants are fantastic. So fantastic. It's a great place to be.
Do you see your comment?
Yeah, I didn't realize. Hello to you. Welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us.
Wow. So what are some of the things you do? What part of the island do you live? Are you by Lahaina or you're the other side of the island?
Well, Maui's called the Valley Island, and I always didn't really understand why it's called the Valley Island, because majority of the population lives in the valley between the Haleakala Mountain Range and the West Maui Mountain Range. So there you have Kihei, and then you have Kahului, and you have Wailuku, and then you have North Shore, all in that valley. And when I lived in Washington State, I lived on Bainbridge Island for a lot of years, and it was hard because you always had to catch a ferry. So I always thought when I moved to Maui, I didn't want to be at one end of Maui or the other and miss out. And so I'm kind of in that Central Valley region. I built a home about 5 years ago on the side of the mountain in Wailuku or Lower Wailuku Heights. And so I'm literally 25 minutes to Lahaina, 20 minutes to Kihei, 15 minutes to Paia, 10 minutes to Kahului, and then walking distance to Wailuku. So it's a really central area. I can get everywhere in like literally 15, 25, 30 minutes anywhere on the island. And there's lots of people that live on one end of the island or the other, and it can take them an hour, hour and a half to get to where they need to be. So yeah, and the cool thing about Maui living is you have the Costco and the Whole Foods and Target and Walmart and all of the big shopping box stores that people are accustomed to. So you get everything you want here, but when you buy from the mainland, you have to learn about patience because shipping here costs more and takes longer. So everybody on the mainland gets their Amazon packages same day or next day. We get Amazon packages 4 or 5 days later.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite as bad as Canada. Canada can take a week or two to get a package from the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So how about North Shore? Do you recommend any restaurants or any like waterfalls, excursions? What do you like to do on North Shore?
Well, the main town in North Shore is Paia, and Paia is like a surfing town. So they've got this amazing, incredible, old style, old school grocery store called Mana Foods. And it's an organic grocery store that you can get everything in there. And the prices are actually very reasonable compared to the rest of Maui for shopping. And then you have in Paia probably 50, 75, 100 little art shops and boutiques and restaurants along 3 or 4 or 5 square block area. My favorite restaurant in Paia town is Flatbread Pizza. So you can get, flatbread pizza made right on the fire. And it's a really cool, very casual place. And then, of course, you go out the coast a little bit. You have Mama's Fish House.
Oh, yeah.
Which you're booked out probably a month to 2 months in advance. So if you want to come to Maui and go to Mama's, you need to book out months and months in advance. Just past that, you've got Ho'okipa Beach Park, which is a huge windsurfing and regular surfing beach park. And there at Ho'okipa Beach Park, you have every night anywhere from 50 to 100 sea turtles come up and they sleep on the beach in the night. You can get like 10 to 20 feet away, but literally I've counted 75, 100, 120 turtles that come up ashore. They sleep there every night, and then every morning they head back out to sea. And then in the middle of the day, there's turtles.
Is that all year, or is that certain time? Because I know Mexico is a certain time of year when all the baby turtles come out.
Yeah, it's year round. And that's the challenge with living here in Hawaii. We can't tell the difference between Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and Easter, every day is basically the same. The only difference is in the summer, it's 5 to 7 degrees warmer. In the winter, it's 5 to 7 degrees colder. So, yeah.
We have another comment.
Yeah. So Tiu asks, do I ever feel stuck on the island? There's 160,000 people here, and there's like 20 or 30 different cities, all of which have their own restaurants and shopping and beaches and mountains. And so I guess as a professional keynote speaker, I'm typically on island about 10 and a half or maybe 10 months a year. And then I spend about a month, maybe a month and a half flying all over the world speaking. So in those times, I would say that I've not really felt like island fever, or feel like some people feel like they get trapped on the rock. Since the whole flu, chaos this last year and a half, I've been on island now nonstop for 18 months. And I haven't felt that island fever yet. Partly is because we do so much hiking, so much biking, so much, sightseeing and exploring. But I can see if you were here for 2 or 3 or 4 years, then probably be very difficult. So yeah, I definitely recommend either do a staycation where you fly to another Hawaiian island, or get to the mainland a couple, 2 or 3 times a year. And every time you fly to the mainland, you'll feel like, wait a minute, okay, now I know why Hawaii is so wonderful.
So, I'm going to do an announcement. So anybody who's on Facebook, it's going to say Facebook user unless you go to streamyard.com/Facebook. That way we could address you. So we do have someone here that's asking about whale sharks. So have you done any excursions with whale sharks?
With whales or sharks or whale sharks?
A whale shark.
Yeah, I've not seen of or heard of any whale sharks on Maui, but the humpback whales from every December through about April. I think we have like 10,000 humpback whales that come to Maui from Alaska. And then there's a lot of tiger sharks here. And then there's a lot of the smaller sharks. So I've actually never seen a shark in the water, but we have maybe 1 or 2 times a year someone's bit by a shark. And most times they're in a scuba diving outfit, or they're on a boogie board, or more times than not, they've got a bloody knee or a bloody leg and they've got blood on them and they're out in the water. And it's either early in the morning or late at night, or they're 200 yards offshore. So if you just be smart and you swim during the daylight hours, and you make certain that if you're bleeding from any cuts or whatever, you stay out of the water, and then try not to swim more than 30, 40 yards offshore. There's really no reason to be out 200 yards. And that's where some of the shark attacks happen. So yeah, they're real, but you have a greater chance to get hit and killed by lightning than you do by getting killed by a shark.
So how about some other things that you like to do there? And anything off the beaten path, like one of your favorite waterfalls? Because one of the biggest things for me, because I'm going to be in Hawaii in December, is I have a big waterfall bucket list I want to mark off, especially for Hawaii.
Yeah, before we do that, one more thing about the whales is that most people don't realize this, but if you submerge yourself, 2 or 3 feet underwater, you may only be in neck deep water. But if you go to the bottom, like 2 or 3 feet below the surface, and you're just silent, you can hear a complete orchestra of all of the whales singing. And it sounds like you've never heard before. It's like aliens talking, and it's just nonstop. And so a lot of times I'm out swimming and I'll just go underwater and just listen and listen and listen. And it's absolutely so beautiful. But yeah, regards to waterfalls, there's waterfalls all over the island. The biggest and best waterfall is you'd go on the road to Hana. You'd park at the 7 Sacred Pools parking lot. Across the street from the 7 Sacred Pools parking lot, you'd hike about 1.5 miles up into the mountains. And there, it's got some big Hawaiian names, so I don't want to even try to pronounce it. But right across the street from 7 Sacred Pools, about an hour up into the mountains, you're going to come up to this you're going to go on this boardwalk. You're going to go through this bamboo forest. And at the end of that, you're going to end up at the stream or this creek, river. And there you'll be at the base of a 600-foot waterfall. And if there's a rainstorm, or if it's raining, you might have 12 waterfalls there. But if it's a sunny day and it's not raining, there'll be one big waterfall. And there's a pond underneath that waterfall that's like the size of a basketball court that you can actually wade into that water about waist deep and shower underneath the waterfall. But of course, if it's raining, then you'd be taking your life in danger by getting in there. Because Because I've been there when we've just had one waterfall. Another time I was there when it's raining, there's 12 waterfalls,
Oh,
and the water
wow.
was rushing like 30 miles an hour. So it would have swept you away. But that's probably the best one. Eo Valley, which is way closer to all of us here. After a big rainstorm, you can see dozens of waterfalls up in there. But a lot of times, of course, when it's sunny and nice and it's dry, you really got to look hard to find the waterfalls because it's all based on, rain runoff.
And how about ahi pokey?
I think the best ahi on the island is actually not the most expensive. There's two restaurants in Kihei called Coconuts, and
Okay.
Coconuts is they have actually the best fish tacos in the world, but their ahi is amazing as well. So
Wow.
Coconuts is like a fast food fish restaurant, and they have amazing ahi tuna. But you can get ahi tuna for maybe like $14.95 or something, and the fish
Mhm.
tacos are like $11.95 with papaya. They're incredible. But you could get that same ahi tuna at one of the high-end restaurants and pay like $69 for it.
Mhm.
So I definitely think anybody coming to Maui should go to Coconuts, and they'll probably eat there 2-3 times. There's a South End location and a North End location in Kihei, and it's way more casual. No reservations needed, and actually know the fish distributors, and it's the same ahi tuna that goes all the big resorts, but you don't have to pay the $80, per serving.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Have you been to Roy's?
I've been to Roy's one time, I think Thanksgiving, a long time ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not a big cook myself, so on Thanksgiving dinner, a lot of times we go out to the big resorts. Or actually, there's a couple big country clubs here that have a huge Thanksgiving dinner spread. And you go there with 200 or 300 or 400 people, and you get an all-you-can-eat Thanksgiving dinner buffet. And so we've done that. We've done Roy's. We've done Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. We've done some of those kind of things, especially like at Thanksgiving when you don't want to cook. So
Yeah, I was a chef at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
yeah, it's
In Las Vegas. Yeah.
hard to be a chef and cook here when it's warm and hot and whatever. You don't want to be in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I've actually met a couple of people when I was there in 2006 when I worked on the cruise ship. And yeah, I talked to a couple of chefs and interviewed them. There's a lot of surfers. Yeah, they don't want to, if it's good surf, they don't want to come to work. Like, surf it up. Sorry, chef, I'm not coming to work today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, one of the challenges about the surf is a lot of mainlanders come to Hawaii not realizing how big the surf is here and how the current can suck you out, and the waves can go from 3-4 feet on a normal day and then 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 feet on a big day, and you get sucked out by one of those waves and you get thrown down. And I had a friend of mine on Big Beach at McKenna. She got flipped up and did 2.5 flips on a wave and came down on her feet, broke both her ankles, broke her femur, broke her knee, broke her hip, and was in a wheelchair for 1.5 years and had like 7 surgeries. And the doctor said, you're so lucky, because if you'd have landed on your head, you would have, died instantly. So we folks that live here, the surfers, when the surf's up, they want to go out in the water. But everybody else, 99% of the people, when the waves are big, we try to stay out of the water just because it's so dangerous. And every year, not every year, probably every month, tourists from all over the world, unfortunately, the surf here is more dangerous than the sharks. People get thrown down by a big wave and they get sucked out to sea and they drown. And it's kind of unfortunate, but you have to be a master swimmer to really swim here. And so I always tell people that come visit, stay within 25 yards of shore. Stay within where you're always able to, stand on the beach. And then if a big wave comes in, you got to dive under it. Because if you don't dive under, it's going to snap you in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually did. Well, I've been on 2 surf lessons, and my second one last year, I finally stood up, but I took a bit to stand up. So by the time I stood up, I was already at the sandbar, and then boom, face first, face plant right into the sand. But getting up on that board, Patrick, I cannot tell you how amazing of a feeling it was. It's just like 3 years ago, I took my very first skydive.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of heights, and so I've been able to overcome fear. And so we'll kind of step into business really quick, because that's why I want to bring this up is when you overcome fears in your personal life, or, say like in my instance, trying to overcome fear of surfing and and skydiving, it actually helps you in your personal life and your business life. So tell my audience how you feel about that.
Well, David Joseph Schwartz says, do what you fear, and the fear will disappear. And I have
Oh,
a
really?
story from Kaanapali Beach on Maui. There's this black rock cliff formation that's maybe 30 feet in the air, and it's about maybe a quarter mile out into the water that protrudes out on this this peninsula. And a lot of the local kids, they do backflips and swan dives and somersaults off
Oh
this cliff
my.
into the ocean below. And I would say when my boys, they're now 30 and 27, but when they were like 7 and 4, first time we went there, they saw these kids jumping off this cliff, and they said, "Dad, you're going to jump." And I said, "No, I'm not going to jump." And so finally, I remember, do what you fear, and the fear will disappear. So I decided to jump, and it was amazing. And so every year when they come, I would jump. But at 53 years old now, I've retired from my cliff jumping, excursions. Because 30 feet in the air, when you land on that water, it's a pretty big smackdown on your back.
Yeah.
So I haven't jumped in a couple years now, but the last few years, it's pretty intense. But yeah, there's all kinds of crazy outdoor things to do here. There's a blowhole here on the rugged northwest coast,
really?
and you walk down to that blowhole, and there's a sign there right in front that says, "Do not get too close to the water. This is not Disneyland. You will die." Because people literally, they walk right up to the blowhole, they look down at the water, and then the blowhole comes and it literally throws them 100 feet into the air. And then they come down 100 feet and they land on the lava rock, and then they are instantly killed. And so when you see these blowholes, you got to stay 20, 30, 40 feet away, because you can't get, too excited and look down. And again, Hawaii can be a very, very dangerous place if you don't know what you're doing. So I tell everybody, use lots of caution, including just simply wearing a sun shirt or a hat. We're so close to the equator here compared to the mainland. A lot of people come here and they, no hat, no shirt, or swimsuit, bikini or whatever. And then 2 days later, they're burned to a crisp, and they spend the next 3 or 4 days in their hotel room, out of the sun, because they're, burnt to a crisp. And so, yeah, you really have to be careful here. But it is an incredible, feat of Mother Earth here. It's like no other place in the world.
Well, let's make a fun ending here. When I was there in 2006, I actually found the very first nude beach. Isn't it called Black Beach over there at Road to Hana? They still have that there?
There might be a nude beach there, but the main nude beach is over at McKenna. So Big Beach at McKenna is the probably the most beautiful beach in the world that I've ever seen. And it's completely unspoiled, developed. It's just all woods. And then you have this beach that's about 2 miles long with sugar sand. There's lots of big waves there. But at the far end, if you go up over the rocks, up over the little cliff to the other side, is called Little Beach. And that's a nude beach. They're trying to crack down on that. And obviously I don't hang out there too often, but it's kind of funny. The people that you want to see naked are fully clothed, and the people that you never want to see naked are completely exposed, And so, but yeah, it's probably half and half. And there's actually, if you climb up that cliff, you can see the Little Beach and you can see the Big Beach. But if you're looking back towards Big Beach, it's one of the most scenic, photogenic spots to take photos, because there you're probably 100 feet in the air on top of this, little cliff, and you can see all of McKenna Beach, and it's an amazing photo.
Wow. So where is that on Maui exactly?
That's south of Kihei on the southernmost tip, kind of on the way to La Perouse Bay. And by the way, anybody that goes out to La Perouse, that's a big lava field. And there you're like on full-on volcanic lava fields. And that's what's so unique about Maui is we have rainforest, we have high desert, we have the 10,000-foot Haleakala, you have rainforest, you have super dry, arid areas, you have volcanic areas, you have areas where there's lots of mold because it's raining all the time, and then areas where it never rains and so it's dry as can be. So there's like 20 or 30 different microclimate here. So anybody that's looking to move here or vacation here, you really want to be careful where you're going to actually stay, because based on, like, if you stay in Hana, you might get rain for a week. If you stay in Kihei or Lahaina, you might have all sun and never see the rain. So that's what's kind of unique about here. There's really something for everybody.
Well, we're going to close out. I'm going to put you in the green room, but really quickly. So Patrick is getting me excited actually because he's helping me with my very first book, and it's about marketing and about making the most of the dash for your business. But he actually gave me an idea from my bucket list book that I'm starting. Can you kind of tell them what we talked about, and then we'll close out because this is going to be really crucial for my travel business.
Yeah, so many people think that a book is impossible and a book takes forever, and it can be hard and long. So I always tell my clients, and I think we've published about 1,500 clients over 25 years so far. And I have two kinds of clients, those that are super, super busy and those that can spend 100 hours writing a book. So I'm going to say 80 to 90% of my clients will put the book outline together. And then over 3 or 6 or 9 months, they'll spend 100 hours writing that manuscript. Mm-hmm. And then I would say my really busy executive clients that don't have a lot of time, they might have 2-3 jobs or they're just, family person. They'll spend an hour writing the book outline. And then once they do that, they will speak their book into their computer via the Dragon Naturally Speaking voice recognition software. Or if they have a MacBook, there's a recording device already built into the computer. And then once your book outline is done and you're looking at your book outline, you can literally speak from that book outline in 2-3 hours and have the entire manuscript done. Now, of course, it's not edited and it might be a rubbish D-, not very good first draft, but at least you've saved that 100 hours. So I would say 10 to 20% of my clients are doing that now. And I think that'd be a good option for you as well, knowing how busy you are.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to start finish my bucket list group. I'm thinking probably in January, but I do need to get my other one, my referral rockstar went out because I've been working on that since 2010. So it's about time to publish it. So we just have a few little touches we have to add to that. So really quickly, just do a shout out for anybody in Maui that you'd like to shout out to, another restaurant or a friend, and then we'll close out.
A lot of people want to know what it's like to live here. And I always say some of the best advice, if you have any ideas to move to Maui, then a friend of mine gave me some great advice early on. And that is that you need to have off-island income. And I said, what do you mean off-island income? He said, don't plan on coming to Maui and working in a restaurant or working, at a resort because you don't make a whole lot of money doing that. You need to have a coaching business, a consulting business, a sales business, or something where your income is based from the mainland, or maybe you work remotely for a company based out of the mainland, but you reside in Hawaii. And I've taken that as some very good advice. And so even though I live in Hawaii, the majority of my income is off-island, income. And so that's what I would tell people. And oh, by the way, if you're moving here, don't bring all your stuff because really you need flip-flops, half a dozen pair of shorts, half a dozen shirts, and you're good to go. You can leave all that wardrobe, all those possessions on the mainland. So many people come here and they ship everything here and then they, don't have room for it. And by the way, 9 out of 10 people that move to Hawaii, within 1 year, they move back. Mm-hmm. And then of the 10% that stay, 9 out of 10 after 2 years move back. So it's very rare for someone to move and stay. And I think part of it is because here we don't really have blood family. And so our friends here become our ohana, become our family. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people miss their Christmases and 4th of July celebrations with their blood relatives on the mainland. But here in Maui, we make friends with our neighbors, with our friends, and those people become our family, even though they're not related to us.
And that helps us become family. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to put you in the green room and hang tight for 1 second, and I'll see you back. Thank you. Wow. I'm so excited. Hawaii here at the end of the year. And if you go to YouTube, I'm actually going to have all the different places that he talked about, including the best fish tacos there in Maui at Coconuts. And of course, ahi poke, baby. Oh, cannot wait. So I hope you guys have a great week. Just wanted to let you know, Ask Cindy Connector Live this Friday is on hiatus as I'm going to be going to San Diego with over 100 of my friends who love Top Gun. We're doing all these great activities in San Diego for the weekend. So stay tuned. My shows for Bucket List Coach Web Show will be next Wednesday and Ask Cindy Connector Live next Friday. Shaka, baby, go out there and make a difference in someone's life. Make the most of that dash. We are here today, gone tomorrow. Just find things to do that are going to make a difference. Shaka, baby. Woohoo!